Welcome to Wednesday's Word of Wisdom. How have you been this week? We hope you've been having a great week. We're going to read a little bit about Psalms 91. Come on back and see what we've got for you. And we're back. I'm going to read a little bit of Psalms 91, and I'm going to read from the Amplified Version. And it says, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will remain secure and rest in the shadow of the Almighty, whose power no enemy can withstand. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust with great confidence and on whom I rely. For He will save you from the trap of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you and completely protect you with His pinions, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a wall. You will not be afraid of the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day."
Okay. Bishop preached about this Sunday, so if you didn't watch that, go back and watch that, and you'll get a little bit of what I'm saying here. If we think about Job at the beginning, Satan came to him, and he was like, "No, but you protect him. If you take the protection off of him, then surely he's gonna say something about you and then badmouth you." And where are we staying? Are we to that point that Satan can come to God and say, if you take your protection off of them, they're going to say something? Or are we staying somewhere else? Are we allowing other stuff in? Because we were talking, we were talking about culture today, and culture today is so technology driven. We can't stop it. But the problem is, instead of dwelling in God, instead of seeking God, reading His Word, praying, watching programs that will honor Him, what do? We let Satan in. And it's defeating the protection that God has over us. Because, and Bishop alluded to this as well, Joyce Meyer, great book, Battlefield of the Mind. If you haven't read it, I suggest reading it. It talks about that's where Satan's playground is. If we're not careful and in the Word and dwelling in God, then he can get in, and as soon as he gets his hands in there, then we can be out of God's protection. So how do we stay in that protection?
Yes. And so, I've thought of different seasons of our lives. I love to tell people who I talk with, we go through different seasons. And I can recall a season in which I had the ability to spend hours in the Word. And, you say hours, oh man, that's a long time. I've got this and I've got that. But there was such a way in which my life was structured that I had hours to spend, and I enjoyed every minute of it, where I would spend an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, just being in God's presence, in His Word, reading and meditating. And then and throughout my day, I had books I was reading that was, written by Christian authors, podcasts, different things that I was listening to that kept my mind focused on Him throughout the day. And as different seasons have changed, I've come and go through different seasons, and sometimes I don't have as much time, but here's what, I can draw on that past season, and I can recall the goodness of God, and I can center myself, and I can tell when I feel myself drifting, right? And I can tell when the enemy is just, like I said, it says he goes around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he can devour. So he's going around and he's roaring in this area and that area. And when my defenses are down, when I've made a gap, a weakness in my protection, I can tell, because then I can now, I've told y'all before, I'm a little bit skittish around dogs, right? Especially if the dog is a bigger dog. So, you will never catch me around a lion, but we'll just use a dog. And if you've got a big dog, and if you have that apprehension like I do, right, and you see a big dog and you can hear the bark and that that heaviness in their sound, right, it kind of makes you kind of shake and nervous. And that's how sometimes the enemy does, where that when that protection is weak and you can feel that, let's just say, big dog coming closer to you, you're kind of like backing up, right? Whereas when we know who is for us, right, then we can say, oh no, not today, Satan. And you can feel the presence of God go before you. And so I definitely encourage you that we are dwelling in the secret place. And like I said, we go through seasons, and I know there's somebody out there saying, I just don't have the time. You said hours. Child, please. But I encourage you, make the time. And if we just start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30, it will increase, and start to structure your day in which you look for those opportunities where it's you and God communing.
And see, now, it's funny where you say, and I've said this, we've said this before, we say, oh, I don't have time. I just need to give him 5 minutes. Come on now, look at your phone and how much time you spend on your phone every day. I guarantee you most of us does at least 4 hours, if not more. Come on now. We can give God more than our 5 minutes, especially if we're watching this right now, really. If you're watching this, I know you're trying to seek God. I know you're trying to find and you get close to Him. So, those times on your phone, look up the Word. I mean, we all should have that Bible app on our phone. We should have Christian music somewhere, because unfortunately, where does Satan get in most of the time to us now? It's right there. So be careful with what you say you can and cannot spend time with, what you do on, and what you allow into your homes via these things, because that right there can pull you out of the safety of God's wings. Just that little bit, Satan can get you. So be careful. We need to be careful. We want to dwell with God. We want to abide in Him. And the only way we can do that is to stay focused and allow Him to protect us.
All right. Until next time, God bless you and goodbye.